we first profiled Iffraaj on Kiwi Bred in 2013, and really he was just hitting his straps then, and he's just gone from strength to strength since then.
He has, Emily. He's probably the great saying in racing and breeding. It's a great game played slowly, and the last 12 to 18 months he's really showed himself to be a stallion of international quality. He was a Group 2 winner himself. I think the mark of such a great horse is that he's left 8 Group 1 winners. So he's left horses that were better than him. But he's left everything. He's left 2-year-olds, he's left 3-year-olds, he's left filly of the years, he's now left Derby winners, he's left weight for age older horses. I think that's the real exciting thing about Iffraaj, is he's such a versatile stallion.
Last year must have just been an outstanding year for you. What is it like to sort of have a stallion who's kicking goals like that for the team here at Haunui?
Oh, it's massive. I think everyone works hard in this game, and I think when you're getting up in the morning and looking at results around the world and you're seeing a stallion that's residing on your farm performing at the highest level, that's a massive thrill. Iffraaj has been coming for 10 years now, so we've had to go through the highs and lows as most stallions do. And Australia is our watershed racing environment. We all know what happened with his first crop. So the last 18 months was like being kicked and getting back up and, soaring above them.
Turn me loose in front of Lucky Hustler. Here's Politeness driving home on the inside. Turn me loose from Politeness. Turn me loose in front. They hit the line. Turn me loose just held on and beat Politeness.
I think probably 18 months ago, what Turn Me Loose did, I think that was the start. But then you needed to back it up, and then to back it up in the autumn with Ginger Nuts and John Snow was a huge thrill. It was a thrill because they won time-honoured races, but also the fact that they were bred by breeders, John Snow by the Moore family and Ginger Nuts by William and Rex Fell. Supporters of Iffraaj right from the get-go gave us a huge amount of satisfaction.
Of course, he's not just successful down here in the Southern Hemisphere, but also the Northern Hemisphere.
His first Group 1 winner was Wootton Bassett, Group 1 winning 2-year-old in France. And then this last year, Royal Ascot, he's had fantastic performers. Rysina was a Group 1 winning mare. And then Ribchester this season won the Queen Anne over a mile. He won the Lockinge. He's a highly regarded stallion in the Northern Hemisphere. Probably one of his best performances people don't know about is Chrysilium. She was a filly that won the Breeders' Cup Turf. They lost her actually, unfortunately, in January, but she was one special filly.
You also, of course, mentioned there Wootton Bassett, and that just confirms that Iffraaj can be a sire of sires as well.
Yeah, well, he's the first son of Iffraaj to go to stud, and he left Al Mansour last year, who was the champion middle distance horse of Europe. Yeah, he's starting to do the job there as a sire of sires.
And we've got sire of sires, we've got sire of Group 1 winners, we've also got broodmare sires, of course, Melody Bell, a daughter of Malika Bell, who's an Iffraaj mare.
Yeah, that was a great story because, she was bred by a long-time client of ours, Marie Lester. Mrs. Sarton became a client of my parents, and Marie stuck with Haunui all the way through. And, his mares are very young. But I think what he's going to do as a broodmare sire affords people a lot of opportunity, because our two most prepotent lines of sires in the Southern Hemisphere, Zabeel, Sir Tristram line, Danehill line, he's free of, so got lots of opportunity. Originally we thought that Zabeel line mares would work particularly well. We like Northern Dancer, but a lot of Northern Dancer mares have been crossed with Symphonic, and it was okay. But of course, we weren't nicking with Symphonic, we were actually nicking with Iffraaj, and as time's gone on, it's shown that he's just had a real affinity with Northern Dancer line mares, and in particular Danehill. So Danehill and his sons have worked really well, but a lot of them are just moderately sized mares. We know Danehill could throw two different types, a smaller, lengthier type of mare, and then a very big type of mare. And really it's those moderately sized mares, like I don't think anyone would mind me saying, but if you put Indomitable and Destin, the dam of Turn Me Loose and Fix in a paddock of 10, they might be the last two that you sort of pick out as going, oh, what wow types of mares. But as you see with Iffraaj himself, he's just such a quality animal. He throws a lot of his phenotype in stock. And I think that in and around the Danehill Cross, it's something like 29% of his stakes winning horses have got Danehill in their pedigree.
And back to the current season, you closed his book early. How many mares will he be serving this season?
He'll serve 120. Well, I mean, we've turned away some very good mares, but we've been very loyal to our broodmare owners and people that have supported the horse previously. You know, people have been in at $8,000, $10,000. So we were mindful of talking to those people first to say, you know, you've supported the horse. Would you like he's standing at 25,000, would you like a booking? And a lot of them have confirmed back. Now, some of those mares aren't of the quality that those mares that we've probably turned away, but it's all about loyalty for us. I think what's got to be recognised is that everyone that goes to Iffraaj pays. So unlike a shareholdered horse, there's going to be 120 people that have actually paid a service fee. So a little bit different, so we've been mindful on service fee. He's been on the shuttle 10 years, he's 16 years of age. We want him to come back for another couple of years. He's the longest serving shuttle stallion in New Zealand history, so let it continue. You know.
Iffraaj, as we know, shuttles from Dali. A new season sire this year is Bilardo. How did the relationship come about with Dali?
It started way back with Elmwood Wakell. And he only came for 1 year because when he returned to Europe he actually fractured his stifle. And then we were fortunate enough to stand Marju, and that was really more a relationship with Derrinstown stud. And then from there basically it was just the opportunity to continue to source quality blood from Europe. And you know, through Henry Plumtree, we'd had a relationship with Henry through selling some pretty nice horses to Lloyd Williams. And so then that's how Iffraaj sort of just evolved out of discussions, trying to search for a new stallion prospect. And that's how it's continued on to this last year with Bilardo. We'd recognised his performances last year, and then it just, you know, it just evolved, and then they were keen to shuttle him. You know, not every horse at Dali in Europe will shuttle, so hence we put a deal together. It's been great to have him here because I think he's a style of horse that if he can throw what he is himself, then we're in with a nice opportunity to sell to a commercial level, and hopefully if he can impart some of his racing ability, will be justly rewarded.
And they're off for the Group 1 Dubai Dewhurst Stakes.
He was crowned champion 2-year-old colt in Europe, winning 3 from 5 starts. Bilardo possessed a trademark turn of foot, and when I look back at his career and think which wins were his best, you can't help but get drawn to his win in the Dewhurst Stakes as a 2-year-old, when he showed that acceleration which he became famous for. And we could say the same when he won the Locking Stakes as a 4-year-old, another Group 1 win under his belt. Bilardo was from day one an exceptional athlete. He was precocious, he was mature at an early age, he had natural speed, he was gifted with an exceptional acceleration. But to go along with all these physical attributes, Bilardo had a great mind, he had a very good temperament, he was a very easy horse to train, and I always look back on the 3 seasons that I trained Bilardo with the best memories.
We're dealing with a serious racehorse. He time form rated at the end of his racing career 126. And we were able to offer him to New Zealand breeders at a service fee of $12,000. So he's exceptional value. He's got some likings with Iffraaj. He stood at Kildangan. He's coming off his first season. They stood at the same price, $12,000, and they were high-class racehorses. He's not a massive horse. He's just a touch under 16 hands, 15.5, but he's got a wonderful full front end, got absolute balance, great colour, stallion's head, a really strong head. He's probably a bit more Danehill-like in his type. That is very correct horse. He's got good feet. He was sound. He raced 16 times. I think he'll tidy up a lot of mares. I mean, we don't know that, but what we do know is that the sire line Sharmadale and Oak de Vega can sell horses to 6-figure numbers, and I think that's testament to type.
You just briefly mentioned his sire there, Lope de Vega, a horse that probably people maybe don't have a whole lot of knowledge about. Can you tell us a bit about him?
Well, he was a serious racehorse. He won the French 2000 Guineas, French Derby. His oldest crop, a 5-year-old. He's already left 28 stakes winners, 4 Group 1 winners, of which Bilardo was the first Group 1 winner. But you know, in Australia, he went to Patnack Farm, which was probably unfortunate. But he stands now at Ballylynch Stud in Ireland for €50,000. So he's a seriously considered stallion.
What mares do you think are going to cross really well with Bilardo?
What we did when we were looking into him, we just took our broad base of Haunui Farm owned mares and threw them through a pedigree analysis. What we found is about 70% of those mares really cross supremely well with them. So, you know, we stood elusive city. So, you know, we've got some nice young mares that will go to him from a Mr. Prospector line. Iffraaj mares all suit him. But going back into Sir Tristram and then those Northern Dancer lines. So he's a little bit of a broad brush. You could throw anything at him. In terms of type, we'll throw everything at him. Small, big, offset, perfect, you know, all those types of mares, because we want to be able to tell people what he can and can't do. But I think from what we've seen with what Lope de Vega, Charmander, I think it was really interesting fact. Since 1993, all the stallions in Europe have been analysed, and Lope de Vega and Charmander, after their second crop of run, are rated 4th and 5th behind Galileo, Dubawi and Monjeu in terms of quality of runner. So that's massive. So it's a sire line that is very prepotent. And the other thing is, I know that there's a real urge to consider everything Australasian, you know, but I'll leave people with this. I'm Invincible's a great young stallion developing in Australia, but he's by Invincible Spirit. Where did he come from? He came from Europe. You know, Schnitzel's had a watershed year. He's by Reduced Choice, he's by Danehill. Where did he come from? Danehill came from Europe. Savabeel, our greatest stallion here standing in New Zealand, he's by Zabeel, by Sir Tristram. Where did he come from? He was a shuttle horse, he just never returned. The thing about why I'm saying that is because it's about hybrid vigour. It's about new genetics, outsourced from different populations coming in and giving that ability. And I think Europe, there's no doubt about it. You know, some of the horses that are coming down and performing really well, they are lengths off their top horses. So when you're able to bring horses like Iffraaj and Belardo into the country, it's a wonderful opportunity. Which ones are going to be successful? Who knows? But you know, obviously we're betting it's ours.
This is the morning ritual.
Yeah, it is at the moment.
Yep.
We're about 1 month out from Calf Club, so
Very competitive.
yeah, absolutely. He's confident of a ribbon this year.
Yes.
We think this year we've got just the lamb to do it.
Yeah. How often do you have to feed Harley? Morning and evening? Yeah, that's a big responsibility. Do you think you're going to win at Calf Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon's actually on the leader of the committee for the local calf club at Tamaheri Primary School.
Can I show you some of my jumps?
You can show me, yeah. Danny, thanks for joining us today. First of all, take me back to the start. Where did the love of horses all start from?
Well, we didn't. My brother and I didn't come from a horse family, but we did fall into horses really just through my mum's love of animals and in her naivety. The first pony that turned up on our property as kids was a unbroken Welsh Mountain stallion. So that one didn't work out quite so well. So he went back to where he came from, and the Shetland pony arrived, and that was where we got involved with horses. Competed up to national standard with my show jumping, mainly in the pony ring, and did 1 year in the Young Rider series after that, and that was really the end of my show jumping, going onto the race horses.
What was the first racing memory you have?
Probably, funnily enough, Tiaraha Trials was probably my first real exposure to the race horses, and through good friends of mine in the show jumping ring, the Scott family, I took the natural progression over to riding track work and doing my probation.
And from there, an apprentice licence must have seemed like a natural step?
Yeah, absolutely. So started trial riding shortly after and led on to race riding. I can tell you about my first trial ride, and Mrs. Scott had always said to me, if ever you need to do your stirrups up round at the start, put the whip through your mouth and hold on to it in your mouth. And I'm standing in the gates waiting to start, and I thought, I must have lost my whip. And I've jumped out the gates, and it wasn't until I went to give the horse a click up I realised I still had the whip through my mouth. I finished my apprenticeship and rode for a little while thereafter. Didn't see myself being in the top 5 or 10 jockeys in New Zealand, and without being in that top part of the premiership, that wasn't really, my passion was not to just go around. So I worked for Roger James for a couple of years, and some of the horses that came through just offhand were, we had Zonda, Hades, Cronus, One Under, Spring Rain, Foxwood, Scoozy. There were some amazing horses just in a 2-year period, and just to have been around horses of that calibre was mind-blowing. With Roger's job, there was a lot of travel to the Australian carnivals, and that was really where I got the bug for getting overseas, seeing how people did it differently, and making it to those big race days. And I had an appetite to get to America and taste the American racing, so I hopped the horse plane and landed in California. And the first year there, I spent working for Henry Cecil's nephew, Ben Cecil, and learnt a lot from Ben. He had some nice horses at the time, and at that stage Godolphin had a stable in America, and I put in my application to work for them there, and that was well received, and the job was offered.
A move back to New Zealand, what prompted that?
The main driver for that was I'd then met my now wife Sharon, and we were getting closer to starting a family, and I just wanted my kids to be doing what you've seen, just the calf club and being around animals, and basically growing up living a New Zealand life. I definitely didn't want to put my boots on. I knew I could, and I still loved riding, but I knew that the minute I put my boots on that would be it again, and I'd struggle to cross over within the industry. So I made a conscious decision then to put the hat and boots away and look for another angle to enter the industry back in New Zealand.
And what did you come up with?
Drove a forklift for a little while, and I applied for the marketing role with New Zealand Bloodstock, which I was desperately underqualified for, but I had a crack anyway, and needless to say, with my underqualifications, I didn't get accepted for that role, which I understand. And on the way out the door, Jim Bruford had noticed my application for a job and had a vacancy in insurance, so he called me up for an interview, and I went in there and we just talked horses for half an hour, and on the way out he said, by the way, you've got the job. Today my role is Bloodstock Sales Manager, and I suppose the most important part of that role really is to ensure that the sales selection process and the national yearling sales are run to the highest level that we're proud of and that New Zealand breeders expect of us. On top of that, I'm involved in a lot of sale promotions. I spend a fair bit of time in Hong Kong, and also over the last couple of years I've been travelling to America, seeing if we can tap into that side of the market. And there's a crossover with gavelhouse.com, bloodstock valuations, private sales.
You recently moved from sort of the Auckland region down to the Waikato. What prompted that?
There was a promotion on offer to take the management role, which was reliant on me moving from Auckland to the Waikato. We did have a year of a vacancy down here, and the company were quite rightly so thought we needed a man down here. So with the promotion came the move, which was a big decision for me and my family. I had my oldest boy at school already, and we had an adjustment property and a lovely farm, and it was a big call for us as a family, but without a doubt it's been the right move for us, both me career-wise and the family are very, very happy here. The sale process starts way back in February really, so we're only just out of the national yearling sales when the girls in marketing are designing the new entry forms, and then once the entries are out, obviously we're canvassing around the paddocks at the farms, making sure we're not missing anything when those entries do come in June, July, and then come August we're out on the road. We've got 1,783 yearlings to look at, and there's only 5 of us, so we try to get out where we can in pairs, and we look at all the horses first, and then we regroup at the end of September, and we run through all those pedigrees and all our confirmation notes, and we try and work out which sale we think that the horses fit best into based on their pedigree and confirmation, and where we think that they'll make the most money for the vendor.
We're now sort of early September time. What is on the cards for today?
Well, today will be another round of yearling inspections starting out at Trelawney, and hopefully you guys are able to come out with me and have a look. We're not trying to find the best horse in New Zealand, we're just trying to find a reason to justify its position in the main catalogue, or should it not be there, you know?
Okay. So there's quite a few changes at New Zealand Bloodstock this year with the sales process.
Yep, so the main change really is we've got a really exciting new look Karaka for 2018, and that's frontlined by the moving of the Karaka Million Twilight races to the Saturday, and we'll have a small evening session on the Sunday, and Book 1, which we now call it the old Premier Sale, will be extended to roughly 700 odd horses, and we'll be selling from that Sunday night through to Wednesday afternoon. Our goal is to take the what we think are the 200 best horses out of the old select sale criteria, K2, and lift them up into the new Book 1 format. The remainder will be what we'll call Book 2 on Thursday, Friday.
What prompted that move?
We had to try something new, and this was the year to do it. We had a real drop off in the middle market this year at Karaka, and we really felt like it was time to do something new. We lost a bunch of our international buyers at the end of the second day of the Premier Sale, and by extending Book 1, we're making it basically compulsory for that international buying bench to stay right through to the end of Wednesday.
And also, of course, the horses that can then get on the sales complex earlier with that new
Absolutely, with the Sunday night session and Monday, the idea is that we can get more horses moved off the complex earlier, and those Thursday, Friday horses will benefit from that extended stay from the main buying bench. So ultimately, the opportunity for those Thursday, Friday horses is also increased.
And the Karaka Million, of course, that changes a little bit moving to the Saturday as well, and you've got the $2 million races to look forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be the first running of the 3-year-old race worth $1 million, which obviously is no small change. So we're really excited about that, and obviously the 4 new group races moving to the night. It was already touted as the biggest night in racing in New Zealand, and it's just going to explode. We're really excited about it. I like to listen to this before I go to work. Rising up, back on the street. Took my time, took my chances. Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive.
So we're looking at 3 today? Yep. 3 here, yep. So Danny, when they come out, what is it that you're looking for when you're making your notes?
Probably the first thing we go to really is the date of birth, just checking size and development for where they sort of fit into the birth date of the breeding pool. Obviously confirmation's the next biggest thing, just checking feet, knees, hocks, basic confirmation.
Our sales preparation pretty much starts when they're foals. And as far as management of limbs, footwork, growth and development, education, goes all the way through the winter.
Yep.
So these horses have been in and out of the boxes a lot, and so they're very well handled. And we will have already gone through our selection process for ourselves, where we believe they should sit in the sales program. Yep. The ones we spend more time on are the ones that we're just unsure whether they're going to go through to sale or to which sale they'd be best placed at. And Danny and I have had a very good relationship over the years, and we're going to get it right and wrong, but generally we pretty much agree where we're going.
Between that decision, sometimes obviously you may not agree with that decision. How do you move past that?
Brent and I have got a good relationship, and it's been lasted for a number of years, and we usually come out of it without too many disagreements, do we? I mean,
it's very evident. These guys are our agents. They own 10% of our foal crop. it's to their benefit to make sure that we can sell our 90% for the maximum amount of money and offer a real insight. There's nothing improves a horse's quality like ownership. So we've all got rose-tinted glasses, so it's very important that we do take on an outside view, because they get to see everything on offer. We get to see our own and maybe a handful of others. So for the relationship to work well, you have to respect both sides.
As you saw there, we had a lovely time with Danny and his family. Now let's get to Aidan Rodley for Kiwi Bred News.
Thanks, Emily. Postponed 7-year-old gelding Waitasek has caused a massive upset in claiming Sunday's Group 1 Livermore Classic at Hastings. Waitasek's dam security was a $7,000 broodmare buy for Cambridge Bloodstock agent Michael Wallace on behalf of breeders Ian Henderson, Gerald Innes and Kelly Whitehouse. The Grosvenor mare in Falter postponed, a mating that was to be replicated 3 years later to produce Sunday's winner. Waitasek provided Westbury stud Stallion postponed with his 4th individual Group 1 winner. Cambridge trainer Ben Foote has celebrated Group 2 success as a breeder, having co-bred Monday's James and Annie Sarton Memorial Stakes winner Some Street Somewhere, with North Canterbury harness racing trainer Andrew Stewart and his partner veterinarian Becky Sartorius. Foote trained and raced Some Street Somewhere's dam, Street Cry mare Street Siren, for 3 wins, but put the highly recommended gelding into work with fellow Cambridge trainer Stephen Marsh, racing the youngster with Stewart and Sam Beatson, who did the early education with the promising galloper. Foote, Stewart and Sartorius have a yearling brother to Some Street Somewhere, and Street Siren is safely back in foal to the Berkeley stud Stallion. In Singapore, the Dr. John O'Brien bred Gold Centre gelding Gilt Complex took out the Raffles Cup at Kranji on Sunday night. Gilt Complex is out of the Zabeel mare Sansabeel. He was purchased for $10,000 out of Newmarket Lodge's 2013 Festival Yearling Sales Draft at Karaka by Anna Scott for owners Graham Mackey and his wife Trish Donnell. In Hong Kong, the Greg Tomlinson bred Road to Rock 5-year-old Beauty Generation landed the Group 2 Sharton Trophy over 1,600 metres. Second to now Westbury stud stallion Tarzino in the 2015 Rosehill Guineas when racing as Montaigne. Beauty Generation has now won 4 of his 9 starts in Hong Kong. Super Easy filly Prom Queen has continued her winning run in Saturday's Group 3 Barneswood Farm Stakes at Ashburton. Bred by Windsor Park stud and former stud vet Pat Sells, Prom Queen has now won 8 of her 9 starts. Former Hong Kong Group 1 performer Packing Eagle has claimed his first New Zealand Stakes win, taking out Saturday's Group 3 Swainess Stakes at Rotorua. Bred by Waikato stud, Packing Eagle is one of Pins's 68 stakes winners. Keeper 5-year-old Wildflower claimed her first stakes win in the Jackalbury Classic for owner Sir Peter Valla, who bred the mare with his late brother Philip. The Group 3 Spring Sprint at Hastings went the way of Miss Wilson, a Stratum half-sister to Rich Hill stud stallion Jimmy Shue. Justine Slater has been appointed the new Business and Operations Manager for the New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeders Association. And finally, the Opera House has done it again, delivering another white foal, this time by Mongolian Khan. This week we take a look at the first crop of foals by the Windsor Park stud-based Jewel New Zealand Horse of the Year.